Exposed. How a hidden billionaire found life-changing love after this heartwarming encounter. Jake had never imagined life could change so dramatically. Standing in his father's auto repair shop surrounded by the unmistakable scent of engine grease and the comforting clang of tools, he felt invisible. Day after day he fixed cars, working tirelessly while his father, a proud war veteran, recounted tales of valor that hung heavily in the air like the medals on the wall. It was a good life, yet the sting of economic inequality pierced him deeply. He watched as more prosperous families in Oak Ridge seemed to glide effortlessly through life, their laughter echoing dismissively around him. The town fair burst into life that Friday evening, filled with the vibrant sounds of laughter, the sweet aroma of caramel corn, and booths bustling with local crafts. The fair always brought a sense of unity, but as Jake wandered through the throngs of townsfolk, he felt just as alone. That was until he collided with Emily. With her warm smile and sparkling eyes, she radiated a genuine compassion that momentarily melted away his insecurities. They talked and he shared pieces of his life, the struggles, the joy in working with his hands, and his father's deteriorating health. "Why do you love painting?" Jake asked, his heart racing as he felt a connection uniting them. "Because it captures moments," she replied, her voice soft yet unwavering. "Moments of raw truth. Like love. You understand the worth of it here more than anywhere else." And just like that, a spark ignited in Jake. A flame of hope that he had buried beneath layers of obligation and fear. Little did he know, beneath Emily's free-spirited exterior lay a world far removed from his humble life. She was the daughter of a billionaire, raised with the ethos of hard work and connection, yet somehow away from all that silver spoon privilege. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As summer waned and their attraction deepened, dark whispers began to float through Oak Ridge about Emily's true background, igniting flames of jealousy and judgment among the townsfolk. Jake felt torn. His devotion to his father eclipsed by mounting insecurities. He wanted nothing more than to hold on to this newfound love. But could he, a humble mechanic, really compete with the gilded cages that Emily had left behind? The fair's festive atmosphere turned heavy that evening as Jake and Emily stood at the center of it all, each burdened with history, the weight of their worlds threatening to tear them apart. Jake's heart raced as they confronted their feelings, vulnerable and raw. It was amid the lustrous lights and echoing squeals of carnival rides that Jake would have to decide. Would love, with its simplicity and strength, rise above the chains of social status? All eyes were on them, and the question loomed: could their hearts truly navigate the tangled web of expectations and prejudices, or had the first threads of fate already begun to unravel? Jake's heart thudded in his chest as he searched Emily's eyes for reassurance, for a hint that they were in this together. The townsfolk's murmurs curled around them like smoke, a reminder that their connection was a spectacle to many. Emily seemed to sense his turmoil, her fingers brushing against his hand, grounding him for just a moment. "Ignore them," she whispered, her voice barely piercing the ambient noise of the laughter and carnival games around them. It was easier said than done. He nodded, but deep down uncertainty gnawed at him. He saw the warm, welcoming faces of neighbors and friends transforming into judgmental masks as they watched him with Emily. He owed everything to this town, yet now it felt as if it were betraying him. "Do you ever wonder what they think?" Jake asked, his honesty spilling out amidst the clamor. "I think they fear what they don't understand," she replied, her gaze unwavering. "But my heart chose you. That's all that matters to me." Her words lit something deep within him, yet the doubts cast long shadows. He wanted to be the man Emily deserved, not just the mechanic struggling to keep his family afloat. The thought of her stepping into the world he had known was terrifying. Days passed, turning into restless nights, as the tension in Jake built. He found himself cleaning the shop in the dark, the clattering of tools like a chaotic symphony echoing his inner conflict. He wanted to protect Emily from the whispers, from the judgment he thought would crash into their idyllic world like a storm. Across town, Emily faced her own struggles. She listened to her father's well-meaning comments about duty and expectations, none of which included a mechanic from Oak Ridge. The disparity in their worlds weighed heavily on her, too. Despite all she felt for Jake, the expectations of her family lingered in the air, thick and suffocating. One evening as they met in the park, the world around them was blanketed in twilight's embrace. Fireflies flickered, mimicking the sparks igniting between them. But instead of joy, Jake felt apprehensive. "Emily, we need to talk," he said, taking a deep breath. "I can't pretend that this is easy. It's not just about us anymore. It's about everything that comes with our worlds colliding." Her expression shifted. A flicker of disappointment clouded her features. "Do you think I care about what they think?" she countered, her voice strong but tinged with hurt. "I thought you knew me better than that." "I do," he said urgently, feeling the crack in his composure widen. "But they can hurt us, Emily. You know how quickly a spark can turn into a wildfire in this town." Silence hung between them, thick and laden with unspoken fears. As he looked into her eyes, he wondered if it was too late to save them both from the chaos of their very different lives. He wanted to reach out to pull her closer, but something held him back. "Maybe we're not what each other needs," he whispered, the words tasting bitter on his tongue. Emily recoiled slightly, as if he had struck her. You can't mean that? Jake felt a fissure forming between them, and the night suddenly felt colder. But he had to wonder, could love truly bridge the vast chasm separating them? Could they find a way to navigate through these treacherous waters? Or would they both be swept away by the currents of their dissimilar lives? With that burning question lingering in the air, Jake knew this was only the beginning of their fight for love, and every moment counted. The air hung heavy between them, the weight of Jake's words sinking in like a stone. Emily shook her head, lost in a whirlwind of emotions. Anger, sadness, confusion. "How can you say that? You don't even know what we could be." "I can't risk losing you," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. "This town, they're not ready for us. If we were to fail." His words trailed off, leaving an aching silence. Emily stood there, her heart racing. She had never considered failure a possibility, not with Jake. He was her sun, illuminating every shadow in her life, bringing warmth to the cold expectations surrounding her. She could feel the fireflies watching them, their twinkling lights echoing the sparks they ignited in each other. Yet the fear creeping around them threatened to snuff it all out. "Jake, we can't control what they think," she said firmly, stepping closer, gauging the distance between them. "But we can control what we feel. And I feel like it's worth fighting for." He looked away, eyes darting to where the laughter of children mixed with the distant tunes of carnival rides. "Do you think love alone is enough to face this?" The doubt etched deep in his brow had become familiar, making her heart ache. "Why can't it be?" Emily pleaded, her voice rising with emotion. "People have fought harder battles for love." There was a fire in her tone now, something that flared as she thought of their future, molded by hope rather than fear. "Together we can challenge their perceptions, shake things up. I believe we can change their hearts." The flicker of hope in her eyes made Jake's heart stumble. He wanted to believe her so deeply, yet the doubts kept nipping at his heels. "And if they don't change, what then? I can't let this town ruin what we have." She sighed, the breath escaping her in a soft rush. "But are we already letting them win? Are we going to back down?" Sitting against the wooden bench, Jake pinched the bridge of his nose, trying to gather the fragmented pieces of his resolve. Did he want to keep leaning on the safety of solitude? Or could he step out and confront the looming storm? "Emily," he began, but the words got lost in the hum of the carnival, in the joyous noise of life moving on around them, blissfully unaware of the battle waging in one corner of the park. "Just imagine it," she sighed, her voice softer now. "Us living without fear, showing them love can break down walls. Maybe we could be the change this town needs." Jake felt a strange pulling sensation deep within him. Could he really be that change? Wasn't he just a mechanic stuck in a town that saw him as nothing more? Yet, Emily's belief held such powerful allure. Her eyes sparkled with possibility, dreams stretching far beyond what he had allowed himself to envision. "I need time, he replied, a mix of desperation and yearning lacing his voice. "Time to figure this all out. Then I'll wait," she said gently, determination lacing her words. As they sat together, a fragile truce forming between uncertainty and hope. Jake felt a flicker of warmth against the cold fear enveloping him. But back at home under the watchful eyes of the stars, Jake's father was pacing. The rumors of his son's relationship had reached ears beyond their town. Unbeknownst to Jake, decisions loomed that could unravel everything he was beginning to build with Emily. What would Jake do when the truth about his family's past came crashing down, shattering the delicate foundation he and Emily were trying to erect? The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It should have felt calming, but instead, it deepened the unease settling in Jake's belly. He and Emily had shared a moment, but as he walked home, the weight of his father's disappointment hung over him like a storm cloud. Inside the house, the shadows danced over the walls, shifting with the flickering light from the old lamp. His father, Ed, sat at the kitchen table, a glass of whiskey half full beside him. The tension in the air crackled. Jake could feel it even before he hit the first step. Jake's gravelly voice cut through the silence, deep and steady. "We need to talk." Jake's heart raced, but he swallowed hard and stepped inside. "What's wrong?" Ed looked him square in the eye. A mix of disappointment and concern knitted into his brow. "I heard things about you and that girl." "Emily," Jake corrected, taking a seat across from him. "Her name is Emily." His father sighed, raking a hand through silver hair. "You think that matters? You think I care about the name? What's the problem, Dad?" Jake pressed, frustration bubbling up. "Is it because of who she is? Or what we could be?" Ed shifted forward, voice low. "You don't understand who I am. What I've done. Our name, Jake, it carries weight in this town. People talk. If you think your little romance won't affect our reputation, you're wrong." The words hit Jake like a punch to the gut. "You're still worried about that? I thought we were past that. As long as I'm alive, your choices reflect on me." Ed shot back. "And I can't risk it. Not after everything we've built." For the first time, anger surged deep within Jake. "You mean what you've built? I have dreams too, Dad. Emily is different. She's not what you think. We're more than just some rumor." Ed's eyes flickered with emotion, though it was quickly masked by something colder. "You think she will stand by you when the town turns against you? You're naive, Jake. Love isn't enough. Never was." Jake leaned back, the air thick between them. He felt torn between loyalty to his family and his fierce desire for a future with Emily. She was the light pulling him through the darkness, threatening to consume him. "The only naive thing here is believing I should settle for the life you want for me," he replied firmly. "I care about Emily, and that should mean something. But I don't think you ever cared about what I want, only what you assume is best." With those words, Jake pushed back from the table and stood. His father looked at him, hurt flashing in his eyes, but it was overshadowed by lingering anger. As Jake headed toward the door, he caught a glimpse of the family photo on the wall. A snapshot of happier times before secrets cast a pall. They all looked blissful, but Jake felt the weight of a truth buried deep. "Jake, wait!" Ed called after him, voice tinged with urgency. In that moment, Jake knew he was stepping into a confrontation that could change everything, a confrontation not just with his father, but with his own understanding of family and choice. Outside, the cool night air brushed against his skin, urging him on. He needed Emily. He needed to figure things out with her. He owed her that much. The carnival lights flickered in the distance, drawing him back toward hope, but just as he reached out for the promise of something bright, a car pulled up beside him, the headlights blinding for a moment. From the passenger seat, a familiar face stared back at him, someone he thought he could trust. "Jake, we need to talk now." The urgency in the voice sent a chill through him. What could they possibly want? Was this about Emily? Or something worse? As he stepped closer, fear clawed down deep, mixing with a sense of foreboding he couldn't shake. The truth was out there, chasing him, and he had the unsettling feeling it was only a matter of time before it caught up. Jake hesitated at the car door, the familiar voice pulling him from his turbulent thoughts. Sarah, his childhood friend and the person who had known him since they were kids, leaned over the front seat, her eyes imploring. The concern etched on her face was palpable. "Please, just get in," she urged, her voice barely above a whisper, as if the night itself might overhear their conversation. He glanced cautiously up the street, the carnival lights offering a stark contrast to the darkened alleyway. What could they want? Did this have something to do with Emily? Against his better judgment, he opened the door and climbed into the back seat. The scent of leather and Sarah's sweet perfume filled the car. Yet the cramped space felt ominous. The other passenger, James, his old friend and part-time troublemaker, adjusted the rearview mirror, locking eyes with Jake. "What's going on?" Jake asked, his brow furrowing. The adrenaline coursing through him was like nothing he'd felt before. He needed answers. Sarah and James exchanged glances before Sarah finally spoke. "It's about Emily. There's something you need to know." Jake's heart sank. "What do you mean? What happened?" "We saw her talking to someone. Someone in a dark car, okay? It looked sketchy." James interjected, trying to sound nonchalant, but his voice cracked. "It wasn't just a casual chat. They were in close, like they were hiding something." A rush of panic surged through Jake. Who was it?" "I don't know. Some guy. But he had this presence, you know? Like he didn't belong in our town," Sarah said, her gaze darting away as if recalling a nightmare. "We just thought you should know. Just be careful, all right?" Jake felt the world tilt on its axis. This wasn't what he had wanted to hear. He thought about Emily's laughter, the way her eyes sparkled when she spoke about her dreams. How could someone threaten that? "Did you talk to her? Did she say anything?" "No. We didn't want to freak her out," Sarah replied, her voice steady yet nervous. "But we figured you'd want to know before she let the sentence hang." The unspoken fears heavy in the air. As the weight of their words settled over him, a swell of protectiveness surged within him. The laughter of carnival goers echoed outside, a vibrant reminder of the joy that could be, now shadowed by uncertainty. "Thanks for telling me," Jake finally managed. "I have to find her. I can't just sit here." He swung the door open, wanting to run but knowing he had to be smart about it. "Jake, wait." Sarah called after him, her voice trembling. "Be careful. You don't know who that guy is or what he wants." He turned back, feeling torn between returning to them for more details and acting on instinct. "I'll be fine. I just need to talk to Emily." Jake stepped out into the night, the cool air biting at his skin. He could feel a storm brewing inside him, but something deeper also roared to life, a fierce determination to protect the light he had found in Emily. As he headed toward the carnival, the place where everything had begun, he was resolute. But the closer Jake got, the more unsettling the atmosphere became. Shadows danced in the flickering lights, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. "Where are you, Emily?" he whispered, a sense of dread pooling in his stomach. In that moment an eerie laugh echoed behind him, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps rushing away. He turned sharply, heart pounding. Was someone following him? With every step toward the carnival, the uncertainty grew. Jake could feel himself slipping deeper into a world he didn't understand, a world that threatened to swallow up everything that mattered to him. What had he stumbled into? As he approached the entrance, the vibrant colors painted against the night, an unsettling thought latched onto his mind. If there was danger lurking, could he save Emily in time? And then he saw her, standing amidst the crowd, but she wasn't alone. Just as he called her name, the laughter faded, and the first flashes of fear began to settle in. What was she doing with that guy? Would Jake's heart stay brave enough to face whatever awaited them tonight? Or would it be too late to save the one person who had become his tether to happiness? The moment Jake laid eyes on Emily, time seemed to stand still. There she was, her head thrown back in laughter, her fingers brushing against the arm of a stranger. The warmth of the carnival lights felt like a cruel joke against the chill creeping into his bones. He took a deep breath, steadying the chaos swirling in his mind, and fought the urge to rush toward her. The guy with her had a confident smirk, something unsettling about him that made Jake's heart hurt. He was tall, with dark hair gelled back, fitted jeans, and a leather jacket that suggested more trouble than charm. Jake clenched his fists, resisting the urge to confront this stranger right then and there. He forced himself to approach slowly, hoping against hope that he had misread the situation. "Emily!" Jake finally shouted, straining over the sound of laughter and music. She turned, her face lighting up with a smile that wrapped around his heart like a warm blanket. Yet that warmth felt so distant. The stranger turned to look at him, eyebrows raised, clearly assessing the sudden intrusion. "Jake!" Emily called out, her voice soft like a soothing balm. She rushed toward him, her face a mixture of surprise and something else that he couldn't read. "What are you doing here?" "I came to find you," he said, his voice strong despite the tremor he felt inside. "I was worried. Sarah and James told me they saw you with this guy." The stranger stepped closer, blocking Jake's view of Emily. "Chill out, man. Emily's fine. We were just chatting," he said, a dismissive wave of his hand emphasizing his indifference. "No, it's cool," Emily interjected, her eyes darting between Jake and the guy. "He's just a friend. We were talking about the carnival. And some of the rides. Is that right?" Jake couldn't help but challenge, his pulse racing. "Just a friend?" The guy snickered, clearly amused by Jake's protectiveness. "Relax, buddy. I've lived here for a while. Just thought I'd show her around the better spots, since she's new here." "New here?" Jake repeated incredulously. "She's not new here. You have no idea who she is." Emily's smile faltered as she stepped back, her expression shifting into concern. "Jake, please, he's just being nice." Jake felt his anger flare, the defensive nature surfacing as he struggled to keep his emotions in check. "Nice? You think it's nice to sidle up to someone without bothering to introduce yourself?" Emily's voice trembled with an uncharacteristic softness as she reached out, her hand grazing his arm. He took a deep breath, desperately trying to rein in the instinct that sought to protect what felt threatened. She was his light, and he desperately wanted to keep it that way. As her gaze locked onto his, something within him flickered, longing to understand but also fearful of what he might uncover. "Why do you come here tonight, Emily?" Jake pushed, desperate for clarity. "There's something about him I don't trust. Just tell me." The stranger scoffed, rolling his eyes. "You sound like a jealous boyfriend, man." Before Jake could respond, Emily stepped between them, her face resolute. "Enough. I'm not a child, Jake. I can handle myself." His heart sank, but there was an undeniable spark in her tone. She was standing tall, unyielding. "I wanted to experience everything tonight. And I thought it would be fun." The words hung heavily in the air, charged with unsaid fears and anxieties. Just when he thought he understood her, the very ground shifted beneath his feet. "Fun?" he echoed, confusion washing over him. "Is that all this is?" Just as she opened her mouth to respond, fireworks burst above them, and a bright flash illuminated the night sky. But instead of wonder, Jake felt the shadows creeping closer, threatening to swallow the moment whole. In the dazzling light, he saw uncertainty flicker across Emily's face as Jake looked from her to the stranger, his resolve hardened. Something was off, and he needed to get to the bottom of it before it unraveled. "Let us talk, Emily," he said gently, his voice steadier than he felt. Away from him. But before she could answer, shout echoed through the crowd, pulling all their attention. "Hey, there's trouble near the Ferris wheel." The carnival's joyous atmosphere turned electric with fear, the laughter replaced by gasps and murmurs. Jake's heart raced as he sensed a dark undercurrent twisting around them, pulling tighter, threatening all that he held dear. "Emily, stay close," he urged, but she looked torn between surprise and concern, facing the gathering chaos. What had he just stepped into? And would it be too late to shield her from whatever was lurking in the night? Jake's heart was pounding so hard he could almost hear it over the commotion. The carnival lights blinked like distant stars, but they felt so far away from the reality unfolding before him. The shout about trouble near the Ferris wheel sent a wave of unease through the crowd, and the air thickened with tension. "What do you think is happening?" Emily asked, her voice tight with worry. "I don't know, but we need to stay together," Jake said, glancing back at the stranger who was now trying to blend in with the onlookers, his confident facade cracking. Before they could decide what to do, a group of people rushed toward them. Young faces flashed in panic, fear skimming their features, as urgency dictated their movement. It was a stark contrast to the vibrant carnival the trio had just been enjoying. "Let us get out of here," one girl yelled, tugging her friend as they bolted past. "Emily," Jake said, planting a firm hand on her shoulder. "We should go too." But Emily's gaze was locked on the Ferris wheel, where a small crowd was gathering, some shouting, others crying. "What if someone is hurt? We can't just I get that you want to help, but we need to think clearly." "We don't know what's going on," Jake insisted, trying to keep his voice steady despite the anxiety bubbling just beneath the surface. Emily hesitated, but the determination in Jake's eyes made her feel grounded. After what felt like an eternity, she nodded. Okay, let us step back. As they backed away from the chaos, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was the moment when everything could change. Emily was here, so close, and yet the way the shadows loomed felt like a threat to their connection. His problem with the stranger felt minor compared to the suspense in the air. Can we go over there? Emily pointed towards the food stands, where people were engrossed in the smell of popcorn and cotton candy. It felt like a sick joke, joy mixing with fear right at that moment. Jake nodded, appreciating her instinct to seek comfort and familiarity. Let us go. We can figure things out over there. As they stepped back, Jake kept his protective stance close to Emily, a silent promise that he would shield her. But as they neared the food stands, the loud sounds were accompanied by quiet murmurs. People were talking, and pulled together like a magnet because of how sharply pain echoes in a crowd. Did you see what happened? Someone whispered. I heard there was a fight. A fight? At the Ferris wheel? Another person said, their voice trembling slightly. I thought I heard something like a gunshot. Is someone hurt? A shiver ran down Jake's spine. Emily turned pale, her grip tightening around his arm. Jake. Do you think let us not think the worst just yet, he said gently, trying to reassure her. Though the fear creeping into his own heart was palpable, suddenly, the ominous tension in the air rippled like a wave as a figure emerged from the mass of people. It was the guy from earlier, his leather jacket shining in the flickering lights, and he was headed straight toward them. Jake stood stiff, ready to make sure Emily was safe. But this time, the stranger's expression was different. No longer flaunting a swagger, his bravado was replaced with something Jake had not anticipated: fear. Emily! The guy shouted, his voice cutting through the anxious chatter. You need to get out of here. What is happening? Jake demanded, stepping forward protectively. Just trust me. He pleaded, glancing nervously over his shoulder as if expecting something or someone. Emily's expression wavered between confusion and concern, and Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they were being pulled deeper into something far more complex than he had ever imagined. Can we trust him? Emily asked, searching Jake's eyes for an answer. As they stood on the precipice of uncertainty, Jake felt the weight of their night crashing down around them. What would they do next? Would they face whatever had been unleashed together? The night was far from over, and as shadows lengthened, the choices they made could very well determine everything. Jake's mind raced, his instincts battling with the confusion swirling around him. The stranger's request felt urgent, as if some invisible force drove him to convey dire news. But what was it? His body tensed almost instinctively, sheltering Emily behind him like a shield. Why should we trust you? Jake asked, his voice unwavering despite the fear that gripped him. A crowd of voices faded into the background, turning their encounter into a private fever dream. Because you don't understand what's happening here. The stranger insisted, his eyes darting. People are scared, but you need to go. They'll hurt you if you stay. Emily's breath quickened, and for a moment, Jake can see the fight within her. Part of her wanted to dive headfirst into whatever drama was unfolding, but she also held on to Jake like he was the anchor they desperately needed. Who are you? She finally asked, her voice trembling but fierce. I can't explain right now, he said, glancing over his shoulder once more. This time Jake noticed sweat beading on his brow. But I promise you, I'm not the enemy. Jake wanted to punch this guy. Who did he think he was? But that anger quickly drained, replaced by a growing sense of urgency. The stranger was scared. That much was clear. We need to stick together, Jake began. But Emily pulled at his arm, her eyes wide. Jake listened to him. What if we're walking into something dangerous? We can't change what's already happened, but we can run. In that moment, uncertainty trailed Emily's gaze. Jake felt his resolve collapse, and he knew he couldn't resist her. Fine, Jake sighed, dropping his guard just a bit. Let us get out of here. Where do we go? Follow me, the stranger said, leading them through the cluster of onlookers still buzzing with a mix of curiosity and fear. Jake kept his arm around Emily, not taking his eyes off their guide. They maneuvered around the food stands, where roller coasters of laughter and activity had just moments before filled the air. Now, with adrenaline coursing through him, everything felt surreal, like a sick twist of fate. They reached an alleyway that snaked away from the scene, dimly lit and forgotten by the carnival's festivities. The air felt cooler, a stark contrast to the hot, damp excitement that had just enveloped them. "What now?" Jake demanded as the stranger stopped and finally faced them. "I need to explain what you're in the middle of," he stammered. "But first we need to put as much distance between us and that crowd as possible. There's more to this than a simple fight. It's bigger." Jake exchanged glances with Emily, who looked both unsettled and intrigued. Her eyes begged him to listen, to stay. "Do you really want to get involved in this?" "I don't know, he admitted, heart heavy. But deep down, he felt that whatever was happening, whatever was unfolding, could paint their world in shades they hadn't yet imagined. "Let him tell us," she urged gently, her fingers entwined with his. "I can handle it, I want to know the truth." The stranger's expression softened, and he nodded slowly. "I can't promise you'll like what you hear, but you should brace yourselves. It's about to get complicated." Jake's heart dropped. Suspense wrapped around them like a storm cloud, and he took a deep breath. As the stranger began to speak, with eyes wide and intensity reverberating, Jake sensed that their lives were about to be altered forever. But just how far were they willing to go for the truth? The night was still dark, and the shadows were just the beginning. Would they uncover what lay beneath, or would they wish they had run away? The stranger leaned against the cool brick wall, shadows playing across his face as he drew in a breath. Jake felt the weight of the moment, the urgency like a raw nerve exposed. Emily grasped Jake's hand tighter, her concern mingling with something else, curiosity, maybe even hope. "People are disappearing," the stranger said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's not random. There's a group, a powerful one. They find people like you. Like me. They take them, and it's sinister. I saw it happen to someone just a few days ago." "Take them? For what?" Jake asked, sensing the fear creeping back into every word. "Experimentation. Control. They're trying to create something. Something dangerous," he answered, shaking his head as if trying to cast off the memory. "I can't let that happen to you." Emily's eyes widened as the truth began to seep into their reality. "But how do you know all this? Why do you care? I used to be part of them. Before I got out," he admitted, his voice cracking as he spoke. "And I can't go back. But I can't just stand by while they hurt others. I need to warn people." Jake's mind was racing now. Everything felt like a nightmare stretching out in front of them. "And you expect us to just believe you? We don't even know your name." "Sam," he replied, meeting their gaze. "You can question me later, but for now we need to move. They'll already be looking for me." Without waiting for Jake or Emily's approval, Sam pushed forward through the dark alley. Reluctantly they followed. They threaded through a maze of dilapidated buildings, the distant sounds of the festival fading, replaced by the echo of their footsteps on the pavement. As they turned a corner, the sound of a siren pierced the night air. Jake's heart raced. "What if they find us?" he breathed, glancing back. "They won't. They can't know I'm with you too," Sam replied sharply. "If they do, you'll both be in danger. This way." They ducked into another side street, the air thick with anticipation and unease. Emily looked at Jake, her expression a mixture of fear and resolve. "Are we really doing this?" she whispered. "We have to. If what he says is true, we can't just ignore it," he replied, squeezing her hand for comfort. "But we need to move fast." Sam led them deeper into the shadows, his urgency palpable. "There's a safe house not far from here. It's where I went after I left." "How do we know we can trust you?" Jake asked again, but something in Sam's eyes made him hesitate. It was vulnerability mixed with determination. This man wasn't here to harm them. He was here to save them. "Because I chose to come back," Sam insisted, turning to face them. "I'd rather risk my life for a chance to stop them than live with the knowledge that innocent people are suffering. I choose to fight." Jake felt the tide shift. The strangers they met just minutes ago had become allies bound by something deeper than fear. A quest for truth and perhaps redemption. As they moved forward, the darkness deepened, their fates entwined like the intertwined shadows of the characters around them. But amidst this chaos, a gnawing question lingered in Jake's heart. What if the truth they uncovered was more than they were ready to handle? They rounded another corner, a flicker from a street lamp illuminating the way ahead. Yet, with every step, Jake sensed danger closing in, a storm brewing on the horizon that threatened to sweep them all away. Would they confront the forces that sought to control them, or would they find themselves swallowed by the very darkness they sought to escape? Jake's pulse hammered as they followed Sam down another twisting alley, the oppressive weight of fear clinging to their every move. He could feel Emily's unease mingling with his own. They were stepping into a world beyond their understanding, and it sent a chill racing down his spine. Just keep moving, don't look back, Sam urged, his voice low but urgent. We're almost there. The urgency in his tone prickled at Jake's instincts. They needed answers, but the reality of the situation loomed like shadows in the night. Why didn't you tell us before? Emily pressed, taking a deep breath as they turned another corner. You could have warned us sooner. I needed to make sure you were ready to listen, Sam replied, spinning to face them. I can tell you're not just here for the thrill of it. Your love is real. But this is bigger than all of us. An intense light splashed against the walls from a passing police car, making Jake stop. What if they see us? He whispered, the fear rooting deep within. They won't if we keep moving, Sam insisted again, glancing over his shoulder as the siren faded into the distance. Trust me. With Emily's hand intertwined in his own, Jake nodded. Okay, lead the way. Somehow, Sam's resolve ignited a fire within him. If there was danger lurking, they had to face it together. Finally, they reached the safe house, tucked behind a crumbling brick wall, almost hidden from sight. It was a modest building, nothing luxurious, but it seemed sturdy enough to provide some shelter. As they stepped inside, the dim light cast a homey glow, and Jake felt a flicker of warmth break through the cold tension. Sam closed the door tightly behind them, peering out the window with calculations on his features. This is the best place I could find, definitely not permanent, but we can lay low until we figure out the next steps. Emily's eyes moved to the sparse furnishings, but Jake could see the determination in her voice when she spoke. We need to know how to help. What's the plan? Right, Sam said, running a hand through his hair. The group I'm talking about. They've been in Oak Ridge longer than you realize. It's a cycle of deception that feeds on fear, people disappearing, hidden under the guise of shadow. We need to warn others, gather information, and expose them. What do you need from us? Jake asked, feeling the weight of their next action settle in. Your love, your bond, it gives you strength. It's powerful together, you're a force. We need to share that, connect with others who might help. If we can rally support, it could disrupt their hold. A spark of hope glimmered between them. Let us do it, Jake declared, feeling the warmth of resolve radiate through the room. Together, Jake and Emily faced each other, and in that moment, he saw the fire kindling in her eyes. Through the next hours, they devised a plan with Sam, mapping out connections with neighbors, building a network of truth seekers dedicated to bringing the hidden to light. The atmosphere buzzed with urgency as they pored over papers and ideas, transforming fear into a unified front. Out there, we aren't just fighting for ourselves, Emily reminded them, her voice steady, fierce. We're fighting for everyone. We can change the narrative. With a mixture of determination and the subtle warmth of love, they stepped outside into the crisp night. Jake could feel the spark of possibility swelling in his chest. As they traversed the familiar grounds of Oak Ridge, lights illuminated the streets surrounding them. The chatter of the carnival faded, replaced by whispers of anticipation. It felt like the town itself held its breath, waiting to see what would unfold. The trio made their way to the heart of Oak Ridge, where they found themselves among friends and familiar faces. Jake stood tall, shoulder to shoulder with Emily, and together they presented their findings, sharing the truth that threatened their beloved town. It's time to face the darkness, Jake declared to the growing crowd, his voice resonating with conviction. We are stronger together than apart, and we will not be silenced. We refuse to let fear control us any longer. The crowd murmured, uncertainty dancing in their expressions. But hope glimmered in their eyes as they exchanged glances, a realization building. It wasn't just about Jake or Emily anymore. This was about everyone who had faced judgment, about families watching in silence, about a town yearning for light. With every moment that passed, Jake could see resolve creeping back into their faces, a flicker of courage igniting. Maybe love could indeed break down the walls, change minds, and alter the very fabric of their reality. As they rallied together, whispers of support gathered momentum, growing into resonating applause that echoed through the dimly lit square. Jake's heart swelled with pride. They were all here for one another in that pivotal moment, As he looked at Emily standing beside him, her eyes sparkling, he felt a shift. Love had triumphed as he knew it would. It had nourished their spirit, transforming doubt into trust. It had forged an unwavering bond that could not be broken. Jake and Emily stepped forward together, hand in hand, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. He had been on the brink of losing everything, but now, he grasped firmly onto the brilliant light of hope. "Let us change this town," he said, his voice echoing with newfound strength. As they stepped into the vast unknown, Jake realized that this fight wasn't just for survival, but a fight for a brighter future filled with love, acceptance, and unbreakable connections. And at that moment, hope felt more real than ever. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.